Rough game. Rough game last night. Uh, really didn't see that coming. I thought for sure the Cavs were gonna I didn't think the Spurs were playing well through 3 quarters. I said as much. Um, but they they really just blew it down the stretch after they had come back in the game, not because they were playing well themselves, but because the Cavs were on the second night of a back-to-back jelly-legging open threes. Um So they lost this game in overtime at home to a Cavs team that had lost 8 straight, including one the night before. They got into town at 3 a.m. At one point, to end the third quarter, Tristan Thompson, like, didn't show any effort on a play. Then they got the ball back and he dunked it, and then he started screaming at his head coach. Uh, and that is the team that the San Antonio Spurs lost to last night in embarrassing fashion. I mean, it was a bad game. It was it was really rough. Um, to start the game, we saw the Spurs kind of force feed LaMarcus Aldridge. That didn't go so well. Um, and as the game progressed, it just became very clear that even with 5 days off, the Spurs really didn't change anything. I mean, they gave Lonnie minutes. He played 24 minutes in this game. Yeah, 24 minutes in this game, 4 or 5 from the floor. Um, and, a stopper on defense, definitely played well, but that was pretty much the only change they made. And they had 5 days off and they came out flat against a sorry Cavs team. Um, Fourth quarter, DeMar looked great until he got to winning time, and then took some bad shot. I tweeted like, DeMar's looked great this fourth quarter. He does that from time to time. And as soon as I tweeted that, it was like the tweet left my phone and then went into his body and just made him suck. Like, I'm sorry about that. That's on me, guys. That's my fault. Um, because yeah, he missed 2 free throws that would have iced the game. Um, Looked like he had a steal and then gave up a 3 to Kevin Love, to tie the game. And then he took the last second shot, and it was dribble, 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 step back from 20 feet. I mean, um, that's the DeMar DeRozan experience right there, and then he wasn't great in overtime. In overtime, we got Marco Bellinelli in this game, and he actually played pretty well. Let's see. He had 9 points, 4 or 5 shooting. Like, he was good. He played 20 seconds straight of phenomenal defense. I don't think I've ever seen that from him. Um, and then it got to, like, the end of the game in overtime, and he's still in there. And in the overtime, the Cavs literally just ran the offense through whoever Marco was guarding. It was like, oh, Marco's checking Jordan Clarkson. Bad idea, by the way. Um, let's run the offense through Jordan Clarkson. Oh, they tried to hide him on Cedi Osman. Guess what? It's Cedi Osman time. Like, ugh. And then, like, it, you know, I thought Pop saw this. I thought Pop was like, oh, they're exploiting Marco right now, and calls Lonnie off the bench. He's like, get in the game. But there wasn't a natural stoppage in play, and he didn't call a timeout. Uh, so the game went another like 2 minutes into overtime of the Cavs just exploiting Marco. Um, and even if the guy that he was guarding didn't score on the play was somehow set up by my dude just like getting targeted in the pick and roll. Um, so that was rough. And then when Lonnie came in the game, he didn't come in the game for Marco. They were all playing together. It was weird. Um, and yeah, Spurs should be embarrassed about this game, and it definitely says a lot about this team that at home after 5 days off, they couldn't figure out a way to beat this sorry team. Um, like if there's a worse regular season Spurs loss in the last 10 years, last 20 years, let me know. Because I don't remember it. And I mean, like, sheesh. This was I'm honestly though, I'm glad that they didn't get away with it. Like if they won this game because the Cavs had jelly legs and the shots just stopped falling and they started shooting everything short, like that maybe that doesn't make them look in the mirror quite as hard. Um, but I mean, now they pretty much have to like this stinks. This stinks, and it's gonna stink on them for a long time until they do something, and they need to do something. I mean, I don't want to hear the "I like the group we got" crap anymore. The group that the Spurs have is not fit to win a lot of basketball games. They're just not. I mean, the way they play, it's not working. LaMarcus Aldridge stops the ball, and when he posts up, like he'll kick out some, but it just does not work for everybody else. When the Spurs were getting back in the game, they were not posting up Aldridge. They were running a dynamic, like weaving, free flowing offense. And they have guys who can put it on the floor, like Lonnie, Derek White, DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, all guys who can create their own shot and work in the flow of the offense like that. And it just isn't what they like. They started to lose it in the fourth quarter. They started to go off the rails when they went to LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah, so trades. Let's talk about them. I think the Spurs should get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, maybe Bryn Forbes and Patty if he can. No, not Patty. Bryn Forbes and Marco. Patty, I think, should stay because he's having probably the best year of his career. He's been fantastic. Like Patty Mills has been so good this year that the duo of Patty Mills and Marco Bellinelli somehow has been the highest net rating pair in the league. That's like a real thing. Yeah, no, Patty's been phenomenal. Marco has had some moments, especially in the past few games, to happen because now now he's gonna get more playing time. Um, yeah, it's, I don't think that trading any of the young guys at this point makes sense. Like if you're gonna blow it up, but blow it up is like gets people riled up, and there's no like one strict definition for it. But I think that what this team needs is just cutting the dead weight of the older guys who are established stars but on the decline. Like they have the name power, they've had productive careers, but LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan neither individually nor together are going to lead any team to a championship. Um, at this stage in their career, absolutely not. So DeMar is going to have the option to walk in the summer. He'll be one of the better free agents on the market, so he'll command a lot of money. So why would the Spurs let him walk for nothing if they could get something, literally anything for him? You know, first round pick, a bad contract, and a young guy, sure. Like, let's make it happen. Like they could trade LaMarcus Aldridge for a bag of basketballs at this point, and I think it would be addition by subtraction because they just play so differently when he's not on the floor. When they have Jakob Pertolin, who's a legit rim protector, a guy who I think he has like 20 blocks in the last 5 games. He's been on a tear. Um, and he sets hard screens and does his job for the Spurs. And he fits really, really well with the perimeter players that the Spurs have because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. You don't want him posting up. I mean, he fits much better. I think Trey Lyles, as far as what he brings to the team with his rebounding and his ability to spread the floor at like 6'10", 6'11", he's been good. Damari Carroll, no idea what that guy does because the Spurs signed him to a 3-year contract and now have not been playing him. That one's weird for me. I don't get that. I genuinely don't. I don't know. Like, I'm not at practice. I don't know what's going on at practice. But in the limited amount of Damari Carroll that we've seen, he's looked maybe a step slow, maybe like a little out of sorts in the scheme. But this is a guy who played for Budenholzer, played for the Nets. Like, it's not like he's not a smart guy who doesn't understand what the Spurs are trying to run. So I think if anything, it's like if there's a good reason that the Spurs aren't playing Damari Carroll, it might be a physical one. And then in that case, you just gave this guy a 3-year contract. That's not good. And I think the weirdest thing about this whole, even when they've been struggling so obviously, like if you're 9-14, if you're 5 games, now 6 games under 500, like you should be trying some different shit. You should be shuffling that deck a little bit. You should be trying 5 new lineups a game and see if something works. Just throw shit at the wall at this point. Like, why are you sticking with a rotation that's been doo-doo garbage? I don't get it. I mean, they took Lonnie and put him in at the backup 3. Okay. Good. Cool. What else did they do? Did we see anything new from the Spurs last night? Anything that they thought over the 5 days, "Oh, maybe this could work"? No. We in the first quarter, everybody people have been clamoring for Derek White and DeJounte Murray together, right? That's what we want? They were in the game for 10 seconds together. I don't even know if the clock was running. I think what happened was they were both on the court and everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're going to play together. This is great." And then it turns out, oh no, they just didn't get the memo that Derek was supposed to check out and they had 6 guys on the court. They didn't play together at all. Like how are you terrible on defense and you haven't played your best defensive backcourt together yet? Minutes restriction is gone for DeJounte Murray. Like, there's no medical reason why he played 17 minutes last night. I don't get it. It's frustrating because the Spurs shouldn't be this bad. Now, obviously, look, most of this roster was built around Kawhi Leonard, who has had at that point turned into like Robo Kobe. You know those NBA math tweets with the TPA? I found one from like a couple years ago when Kawhi was still on the team, and it was like, cluster over here of everybody, and then Kawhi, like out in the, you know, in the good quadrant, all by himself. I get it. This roster isn't perfect, but they got the pieces to be better than this. Like, yes, the tight leash on the young guys has been infuriating. It doesn't make any sense. So, with that, since we've established that this is not working, let's see what you Spurs Twitter have come up with for ways to fix it. Are we sure Pop still evaluates talent as effectively as he used to? His first cut during FIBA included Bam Adebayo instead of Mason Plumlee. Yeah. Uh, Bam's having a pretty good year, isn't he? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Pop has lost a step in terms of talent uh, appraisal because, I mean, shit, he had Marco Bellinelli playing like 18 minutes a game and Lonnie Walker stapled to the bench. That doesn't scream like great evaluator of talent to me. And like, again, Pop's a legend. I would never question Greg Popovich, but I got a question. Like, why you have to know that Marco Bellinelli is a complete liability on defense. You have to know that Bryn Forbes is also a complete liability on defense. Patty Mills is a very scrappy, very determined liability on defense. And you play these guys like a combined 60 plus minutes a game. We haven't seen the rookies play at all, which, I mean, I get it. There are guys ahead of them in the rotation that should be getting those minutes first, probably, but they're not playing either. I mean, Lonnie is now, but DeMar Carroll is not. Jamezi Metu is not. I'm gonna figure out a way to do this, but I'm gonna make like a poll for you guys to answer. Like, who do you blame how much for the current situation that the Spurs are in? Like 100 points to weight across whoever you want. There's a part of me that's thinking like, maybe Pop is just like maybe Pop knows that the old guys don't have it anymore. He's stealth tanking and trying to force the new GM, Brian Wright, to make a move here. Like, we're getting to December 15th in 2 days. That's when everybody who signed a contract this summer can be traded. Like trades do not happen in the NBA before December 15th for the most part. The last trade that happened in the NBA was Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul. Like, that's the last one. Everybody just kind of stands pat, sees what they got for the first like 2 months of the season. And the Spurs know what they got now. And it is not good. And they have young guys. The Spurs have one of the best young cores in the whole league. I'd put my name on that. Like, nobody knows who they are because they don't play. But in terms of talent, in terms of what the Spurs have built through the draft and through their development, think about Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Jakob Poeltl, Keldon Johnson, Luka Šamanić, throw Chimezie Metu in there, throw Bryn Forbes in there if you want to. Like, they have young guys who are very good athletes. Like DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker are so fast and so long and so explosive. You just love watching them play. They're exciting to watch. They bring a different level to the defense. You know, like they bring something that really it's them and Derek White bring something that nobody else in the rotation does on defense on the perimeter. I think Forbes in the starting lineup has been not so great. Although last night he only played 17 minutes. I think Pop might be getting wise to that. The flip side was that, Marco got his minutes. Marco played 20. Patty played 28. So, like that group, those three are still playing too many minutes. They're playing too many minutes together. There's too much overlap between those three. And it's made them so weak on the perimeter. It's impossible for them to be effective defensively if they have it gives the other team a chance to get set up defensively. I think Patty's worth keeping, but I think the thing with Rudy, he's kind of had like a sneaky, not so great season. Like he puts up decent numbers, he makes tough shots, but there are some like really concerning bits of his play. Like for example, he has missed so many open threes this year, like wide open threes. It looks like he has to have somebody like in his face for him to feel comfortable taking the shot, And that has made him hesitant when he catches open at the arc, right? It's made him take tougher shots. And his effort level on defense has been like eye-opening and not in a good way. He at the rim he gets blocks. He's, stout in the post. The closer he is to the rim, really on both ends, the more effective he is. But if you get him out on the perimeter on defense, it's easy to get by him, and it's also easy to just like pull up for a shot in his face. He like and the one of the big things, even if he's being effective, is just the way he plays. Is kind of like LaMarcus Aldridge in a way, maybe a little more perimeter oriented, but he's a guy who stops the ball and ISOs. There was a stretch in the game last night, but he basically took over the game ISOing. And there are other dudes on the court who can play and play as a unit together. And that's way more dangerous than an over-the-hill Rudy Gay recovering from an Achilles ISOing. It just is. Every time he makes a shot that is like tough inside the paint, I'm surprised a little bit. Like, it's he just hasn't looked really himself, and that's to be expected. Nobody really recovers from that Achilles injury and is the same. And he's getting up there in age, and you kind of expect that. Yeah, let's see what some other people said. Somebody said you can't win a title in December. Sure, but like you can pretty much take yourself out of title contention in December. Like, I mean, Spurs are 9-15. They can still make the playoffs, but like They they can't with this group, the way they're playing now, no, they can't recover from this with this group. Like, last year was a health thing. Last year was an 8 new guys thing. I understood, like, okay, it's not obviously, this isn't great. I didn't think it was necessarily Pop's fault, really. Um, but this year is different. Like, this year they came in healthy, they got DeJounte back, there was continuity, and they just haven't played well, and I think a lot of it is on Pop. I think a lot of it is on how rigid his rotation has been, the complete lack of, like, trying to find something different. Um, yeah, so I'm firmly in the it's time to trade some people camp. Um, get rid of DeMar, LA, Rudy, turn the team over to the young guys with vets who are strictly role players. They'll be better and actually have a chance at making the playoffs. There's a take. I think a lot of people think, if the Spurs get rid of Aldridge and DeRozan, they're giving up on this season. I, I don't I don't know about that. Like, if they gave these young guys the minutes and the time and the license to make mistakes and learn and, play their games together, I think they might actually have a better shot than this unit that they have together now. Um, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the young guys could figure this out if given the opportunity. Why Marco? He got naked pics of Pop or something. That's all. Matt Martinez, PhD. Good question. Yeah, no idea. No idea. Maybe he's got like a Vineyard Connect or something, and like Pop just needs to keep that relationship real good. But um, I don't know. I don't know. He's played well the last 2 games. I will give him that. Um, but that just means he might play more, and that means he'll play bad defense more, which will be bad. There are some people who say, pick one, DeMar or LaMarcus, and I think they kind of both got to go. Just because like it is time to hit the reset button a little bit. And you don't do that halfway. Cuz if you do it halfway, then you got a lot of people that still have mixed feelings about it, right? And I I think that LaMarcus Aldridge's his style of play has hindered the growth of the young guys, and I think that DeMar DeRozan's limitations and the way he plays the game and the position that he plays the game at has hindered the growth of the young guys because he's taking minutes that would go not just minutes, but when when he's running pick and roll, because he has to run pick and roll because he can't space the floor because he doesn't want to shoot threes. Um, when he's playing with the ball in his hands, that means Derek White doesn't have the ball in his hands. DeJounte Murray doesn't have the ball in his hands. Lonnie Walker doesn't have the ball in his hands. And those are the guys who I'm pretty sure, I sincerely hope, are going to be carrying the load for the Spurs in the future. And so, yeah, I think it's time to move on from both of them. And it's not because they're bad players, because they're not bad players. Like, DeMar was doing things last night where I was like, whoa, he's a special, talented guy. LaMarcus Aldridge has really improved on defense. And I mean, like, he's still a problem to guard. He can still give you buckets. Um, but just the way he plays is not conducive to the team game with the young personnel that the Spurs have. Doesn't work. I've been saying all year that he needs to do his version of what Dwight Howard is doing in LA. Get it out of your head that you're a post up guy. Forget that. Forget that entirely. Says screen, roll. Says screen, pop to the 3-point arc. Set a screen, roll. Get a steal, get a rebound. Like play. He could be a pretty perfect modern center if he decided that's what he wanted to be. Like if he just woke up one morning and said, "You know what? I'm going to play complementary basketball." And this is a coaching thing too, right? Because Papa's calling for him to post up over and over. They need to just take a good hard look in the mirror and say, "Look, this post up stuff isn't working so great. Uh, maybe we should try something else, something that gets the other guys on this team involved." So if Pop's not going to do that, if LaMarcus isn't going to do that, and if they're just going to say, "Okay, yeah, this is fine, keep posting up, 15 times a game and having mixed results and basically icing everybody else out of the offense. Let's keep doing that." Like if the Spurs just stand pat and keep doing this, I don't know. I really don't. Um, they they could make so many moves, and I'd be like, okay, step in the right direction. If they do nothing, that would be terrible. Because then most likely you're letting DeMar DeRozan walk in the offseason for nothing. You're probably looking at like 30 wins for the year if you do nothing. Um, and that'll be like, bad, but not like great odds at the top pick bad. Um, and if they spend the entire year stunting the growth of the young guys to optimize the suboptimal play of a veteran who's not going to be here, what are you doing? Like, what is the purpose? That's the most frustrating thing about this Spurs team right now is it seems like they don't have any direction. Like, if the Spurs re-signed DeMar DeRozan for like close to the max, lock him in for 4 years, I'm out. I'm done. I can't watch this team anymore. Like that would be terrible. They fully guaranteed LaMarcus Aldridge's contract, like over a year before they had to. Why? Like they've made a lot of concessions for LaMarcus Aldridge. They have. Like when he told Pop he wanted to get traded, and Pop was like, "No, hold on, sit down, let's figure this out." Like maybe he should have just let him walk. Maybe that's something Kawhi was pissed about. Like, yo, he gave you an out, and I didn't want to play with this dude. Why why did you fix that relationship when we could have just moved on and been better? That's a possibility. Because like LaMarcus and Kawhi clearly, looking back now, they don't like each other. There's some beef there. And probably part of it had to do with LaMarcus Aldridge being like, "Hey, let's run through the posts, and I'll do that." And, you know, I'll draw doubles and kick it out, and, Kawhi, you wanna attack off that? And Kawhi probably didn't say anything, but he was like, "Not really, like, I want you to set a screen or get out of my way." Like, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's time to move on. Um, and when they do, if they do, when they do, Rosen and LaMarcus Aldridge, future's really bright, like exceptionally bright. Like, think about the those 7 guys, those 7 young guys: Dejounte Murray, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson. Throw Quindary Weatherspoon in there, Luka Šamanić, Chimezie Metu, Jakob Poeltl. Like, that's a group that's going to be fun to watch. They're going to be good. They're going to be a good basketball team when those are the guys who are ready and playing. Luka still needs to add some muscle. Keldon still needs to work on his 3-point shot. Uh, Quinn has to work on a lot of things. But, I mean, like, that is a dynamic basketball team built for the future. Like, people always talk about, like, oh, critics of Pop will say that he hasn't adjusted to, modern basketball. Spurs have in the draft. Like, they have gone after guys who are built for today's game. And when they finally start letting them play, it's going to be great. One of the reasons that I thought the Spurs were going to be better than just good this year was because I thought that that's what the Spurs were going to do. I thought they were going to say, okay, we've got our young guys. They're ready enough now. Let's put them out there a little more. And they haven't done that. We've really seen none of Derek White and Dejounte Murray together. We're only now starting to see Lonnie Walker play significant minutes. And that growth has been stunted by, like, Marco Bellinelli. Like, through, like, by Pop through Marco Bellinelli. And by DeMar DeRozan. And by Patty Mills and Bryn Forbes, who are not great defenders. So I'm hoping this Cavs game is a wake-up call. It has to be, right? Like, you can't blow a game like that to the Cleveland Cavaliers and not like that has to keep you up at night. That has to absolutely haunt you. And I know Pop is the, whatever, you win, you lose, you go home, you have dinner and a glass of wine, but, like, I bet he was at home having dinner and a glass of wine, like, shit. We just got worked by the Cavs. And, like, exactly. Like, I've felt like every one of these bad losses has been a wake-up call. Like, Detroit, come on. That was terrible. The Memphis game on Tony Parker jersey retirement night, they got their doors blown off by the Memphis Grizzlies. Think after that game there was some soul searching, or they just, I mean, because they didn't change much. Like, what's gonna have to happen to this team before they're like, you know what? maybe this isn't working. Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. So we'll see. Let's see. Who does Spurs have next? I don't even know. Oh yeah. Phoenix. Phoenix in in Mexico, right? Oh boy. So we got travel involved to a foreign country, and we got a Phoenix Suns team who is so fast, and they have a guy who I believe his name is Devin Booker, and I swear to God, if I have to watch Bryn Forbes guarding Devin Booker, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna absolutely lose it. So let's see. Let's see if the Spurs make any changes now. maybe, maybe. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll see you guys out there. Go Spurs, go or whatever.